I see that we have Clark's on a budget. She just made a comment a couple minutes ago. And I know we've got some other people that were in the chat earlier, but I don't see anybody for me on the live. Do you guys see where it shows you anybody's on?
Don't think so.
No, I'm looking at it on my iPad. It says it's waiting for Snow Gardener.
Says it's waiting for me?
Yep. Oh, there. Now it's on an ad.
Now it's on an ad. Well, that's what happens when it's all set. Oh, we've got a couple people in here. I see that we've got a couple. And we'll wait for a couple more to come in. So if you are in the live chat, or if you're watching us, please type into the live chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know if you're not somebody that we recognize. Please let us know your name and where you're from so we know where our viewers are watching from. Tonight is going to be a wonderful live. I'm going to say tonight, and you're going to hear the Australian budgeters say this morning. So
this morning,
just get used to that, right? Like Erin already put in there and said good morning. And there's Chantel. Hello, Chantel. Good to see you. I'm used to being on a bigger screen, so this being cut into thirds, like I'm waving to the camera and you guys can't see me because my hands are off the camera. And there's Desiree, and there's Chris Budgets.
The notification just came through for me that we're live.
Okay.
So that should help people.
So we are officially live then. I had already introduced these two very quickly. I know a lot of you guys already know these two beautiful ladies from Australia. I'm excited to be here live with these guys. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen on our Instagrams and possibly on our YouTube channels that we do have a topic for conversation tonight, but we will take questions and try to answer those as we go through the live. It's not like you have to wait till the end. And just know if the chat gets rolling too quick, if we miss something, we're not doing it on purpose, of course. So for anybody that does not know me, my name is Marlene. My channel is Snow Gardener 307 Budgets. I also have a secondary channel, Snow Gardener 307 Everything But the Budgets. And I live in the U.S., in Wyoming, in a very small town. So I didn't tell these ladies they were going to have to introduce themselves, but here we go. You ready? So we'll jump over to Erin first. Erin, can you let our audience know a little bit about yourself?
Taylah's in the middle. Logically, you should have moved that direction. Jeez.
I lost.
Okay. Yes. Didn't we talk about not putting people on the spot? So hello, most of you guys know me. I'm Marlene's other half of YouTube and the future mother-in-law of her beautiful fake succulent Fred Jr. I am the owner of Wilma, and part of the reason that Marlene is going to be coming down under so that our fake plants can have a wedding. My channel used to be called Erin Twibbles Around Aimlessly. I just changed it to Erin Budgets Aimlessly, just to get some consistency, which actually fits in with the topic tonight of balancing things and all of that. I'm originally from the US. I grew up in Southern California, in San Diego, but I have called Australia home and will continue to call it home. I've been here for 12 years now, and we've got our citizenship paperwork in. So pretty soon we'll be taking the big test and making everything official.
Yay! All right, now Taylah, your turn.
Oh, okay. So Taylah Louise Budgets. I don't know what else is there to say. I'm a teacher. I live in Southeast Queensland, Australia. I live 3 minutes away from the high school I went to, so I have not moved far from where I grew up. Yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say about me, really. That's pretty much it. I teach. I YouTube.
She teaches and she YouTubes. All right, so the idea for this live, so everybody knows, was not my idea. I'm just the one having it on my channel because I was told to. But Taylah Louise Budgets, Taylah over there, or Tay, or what are your other nicknames, Taylah?
Tato.
Tato. She was the one that had come up with this topic, and Erin had mentioned it to me, and I thought it was an amazing idea. So we do have some talking points to talk about tonight, but I do not want to take credit for any of this because this is not my idea. So I want to make sure that you know that this is Taylah that had thought about this. And so I'm looking at my notes right here. So for anybody that did not see our little advertisements before the live, we are talking about the toxic productivity and hustle culture. And so Taylah, I want you to why don't you let everybody know what made you think that you wanted to do a live on this topic? What about it?
I think so. This year, I kind of started out doing monthly resets on my channel, and I'm big into watching a lot of monthly resets. And I found that month after month, I need to try and not talk too fast. Month after month, when setting goals and looking at like what is my self-care for the month, I found that the longer I did it, the more that self-care was to not set goals and to not do stuff. I found that over and over again, I wanted to slow down. I wanted to stop. I wanted to breathe. And so then it kind of felt redundant, the whole goal setting process. And I am someone that loves productivity. I thrive off a to-do list. I froth it. Like it's my favorite. I can't function without it. And yet time and time again, I feel like myself and my mind needed to slow down. And so that's kind of toxic productivity is kind of how I feel like last year was for me. And I went into this year, aiming to avoid that, to just enjoy life, and kind of fell into a few little traps again. And, it's always a struggle and it's always a battle. And I think on here, especially in the budgeting community, there is such like a big topic of self-care. Like I know you had the spoons live that I absolutely loved watching you talk about how mental health is so important. And I think when you're a budgeter, it's because you care about your mental health and you care about your financial health and you care about just your life and your well-being. And so I guess it kind of just flowed on from that for me.
Okay, I love that. And it is so true. I'm the same way as you, Taylah. I give myself this great big huge long list because I want to be productive. And then when I don't create it, then all of a sudden it becomes very toxic for me. Right? So I've got this huge list and I want to get all this stuff done and then I don't get it done and then I'm like, what now? And we see that in this culture that we've got all of the side hustles going, and not that they're negative, right? I mean, they can bring us a lot of things, but if you've got that side hustle that's taking away from your family, from what's important to you, then you've got to find, as my friend Erin says, the harmony in your life. And that's one thing that we talked about on that last live, because I was always taught to look for balance in your life. And like Erin says, you're never going to find balance. It's never going to balance. There's going to be times when you spend more on work or on YouTube or with the family than you do with other things. And so I love that idea of harmony. Now, Erin, what are your beginning thoughts on this topic that we're talking about tonight? Because I know you have many.
Yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts. I'm quite vocal in that I do not like the term side hustle. I just I think that it's a way that I think some of us are almost putting excessive pressure on ourselves because it's the thing. If you're not, if you're not hustling, you're not working hard enough, or I guess any of that. And I work in academia. I teach at one of the top universities in Australia. It's one of the top in the Australasia region, and it is ranked in the top 50 in the world. It's equivalent of Ivy League, and it's publish or perish. I mean, so you want to talk about needing to have a high level of productivity. It's hyper competitive. So because I have so much of that in my work life, and I found that it was starting to carry over into my personal life as well. Particularly when I started my channel, I did that because I had time off from work. I was on extended sick leave for a year and a half. And because I didn't have all of that time that I was used to spending doing research and seeking after funding and such, I think I kind of channeled it over into a corner, into another area. And there's a really good book, and I'll find it here in a bit. It's called Boundaries. And I read that book, and it was just mind changing for me. And it was about, um, saying no, and that it's okay to say no, and putting those limits on yourself. I saw a post the other day that said entrepreneurship isn't for the weak. Like, there's nothing weak about overworking yourself and not wanting to. Um, I just think that the toll that it takes on you physically, the toll that it takes on you mentally, the toll that it takes on you emotionally, and somebody somewhere pays the price. And if it's not you, it's going to be somebody maybe in your family, or it could be, your dogs. If you're working tirelessly and you're not getting enough sleep, we know from research, driving while fatigued is the equivalent of driving while drunk. And you have more vehicle accidents from people that are sleep deprived than you do a lot of times from people who are intoxicated, because there's no way in tracking it. And your body will break down over time. So it's you have to look after yourself first. And I think you also have to ask, why do I feel it necessary to overschedule myself? Same as we ask, why is it necessary to overschedule our children as well? It's a new form of keeping up with the Joneses, of who can be the busiest at things. And so I think that if you take it to that extreme, I think there's very healthy ways to go about it. I think that there are very extreme ways to go about it. And that's why I say, finding that harmony, setting those boundaries, what is going to work for you, what is your actual goal that you are trying to achieve, and how is that helping you to achieve that goal. Those are some of my initial thoughts. I could go on. Yeah. Chris, you asked from a side hustle. I might have missed what you had before that. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, we see if they reply. It's funny that you mentioned so many words there that I know that in my notes of thinking about this video and even thinking about what some possible responses might be, like so many of those words came up for me as well. Fatigue being one of them, physical health. There was a few other ones that you mentioned that I was just like, yes, 100%. Like the idea of guilt, the hustle. Yeah, just all of those words are so like pivotal to this topic.
I agree 100%. And I am one of those that totally overschedules myself. Luckily, I did not get into the realm with my children. They were only allowed to do one activity at a time. Meanwhile, my friends were taking their children to, basketball and dance and, everything all at the same time. And it's like, kids need to be able to be kids, and we need our downtime as well. And when I do take my downtime, unfortunately, I feel guilty, right? So when I sit there and read or take time for myself, I feel guilty, which is ridiculous. And so that's why I love having like the challenge that I have from Shannon over at Kitchen Shenanigans, the accomplishments challenge, because that is, I use it for reading. So then it gives me a goal to reach my reading. So then in my brain, however it works, it makes it okay. So I want to talk about Leroy's comment really quick. So he says, my wife is all about making to-do lists and I am horrible at them, which is why I don't accomplish as much. And then we also have Desiree, who said, I make to-do lists all the time, but don't get anything done. So Leroy, just because you make a list doesn't mean you get stuff done. Now, I am such a list maker that when I am having a busy day and I do something that's not on the list, I add it to the list so I can cross it off. Does anybody else do that? Just so you can get that check mark because it wasn't on the list, but I did something and I want credit for it, dang it.
The first item on my to-do list is make a to-do list. So that's the first thing that I check off for the day. But Chris budgeting, just because I absolutely love her, by the way. She's here. So her follow-up was, do I feel working a side hustle can lead to all of those things? No, I don't think it's just from side hustles. And that's why I say that I think it's about finding those boundaries to where you're not pushing yourself beyond them. So where is your nexus? Where is your point of productivity that you are aiming for? And that's going to be different for everyone. And I think that it's similar to not comparing your chapter to somebody else's chapter in their book as well. And so having a really clear understanding of what are you trying to accomplish, why are you trying to accomplish it, and what do you need to go about to do that, so that you're doing so in a way that is healthy for you, for your whatever your situation is, all of that. And that's going to vary per person. It's going to vary by time of year that they are in as well. But it's I think side hustles are no different from just, regular. I don't like saying regular 9 to 5, because then that brings up the whole, 9 to 5 versus, ain't touching that. Not going on that debate. But just as we have those boundaries in other areas of our lives, I think that with our side hustles, it's really easy to get caught up in the competitive culture, I think, of doing more for it. So just being honest with yourself of understanding and clarifying with yourself how much is enough, and then what is extra on top of that. I was at a point with my Etsy shop. I had to shut my Etsy shop down. And Marlene can attest, because I had sent her some of the pictures. I had one week where I made almost $7,000 in sales in 1 week on my Etsy shop. I barely slept trying to get everything out and done. And that's why I shut it down for a bit, and then that bit turned into a 3-month break, and everything kind of reset as well. So because I didn't put myself in holiday mode, I deactivated pretty much everything other than digitals. Everything reset. So all of the likes, all the favorites, all of the ratings and rankings for all of my items, all of them reset. And I love where it's at now, because for me, it's manageable. Now, some people would go, why would you want to, why would you want to step away from all of that? Because for me, it just wasn't healthy for me anymore. And I'm okay saying that. And if other people, if they're all right with that, then that's fantastic. And I'm okay with other people being comfortable with the point that they are at. It's sometimes you don't know. I never started Etsy to have heaps of sales or make heaps of money or anything. I just needed something to do with my time, because I was going stir crazy sitting around home. It just, unfortunately, and it sounds counterintuitive, it did better than I thought it was going to do. I did not think that my shop was going to do that well. And
it's a boundary.
How do you? Yeah. But I lost sight of it. Really, because it was just like, get that next sale, get that next sale. And there's a reason why I never did a video on my Etsy earnings until I reopened my shop. I never did them before, never disclosed. I mean, Marlene knows, because I was like, holy crap, look at this. And I sent her a screenshot. She's like, is that for the month? I'm like, no, that was for this week. She's like,
yeah. And she has a full-time job as well now, so I can see that being overwhelming. And of course, Katie with 2 eyes says that yes, Etsy gets overwhelming. And I can see that on your channel, Katie, actually, and when you shut your shop down. And really quick, I saw somebody had said it in the comments too, but I did want to say congratulations on your graduation. So congratulations. And then we have a lot of people in here that are agreeing with us, you know what I mean, that we make lists, and so, Ro right here, she says seeing the check marks make her feel accomplished. That's me too on my to-do list. My bad habit, though, is putting so much on my to-do list that there's no way in one day I could possibly get it done. And I have this grandiose idea that I have way more time than I actually do. And do any of you guys do that to yourselves where you think I can get all of this done, and then when you step back, you only see that, what was I thinking? I'm setting myself up for failure. Taylah, do you do that to yourself?
Kind of, but I have some tips here. I actually purposely, I used to be really bad where, because I'm a teacher, your job's never done, right? That's something that I've had to learn. I'm in my 3rd year now, and I've learned it time and time again, that your list never ends. There's always more you can do. And, we talk about plates and we talk about spoons of how much can you do. And I don't think having an exhaustive to-do list is the problem, but it's the idea that there's a time at which those things need to be achieved by. So now, instead of writing a digital to-do list and then feeling like on the day I need to handwrite so I can tick it off, I now use the Notes app, where you can still have your little circles that you click and your tick pops up, but it's a rolling to-do list. So I have my different sections. I have my social media section. I have my home section where I do like write the different things I want to clean that will maybe get done eventually. Who knows? I have, that's the same sort of system for the groceries I want to buy, or like even long-term things like needing to go get skin checks, like all sorts of things in different categories, but it's rolling. So I can add to it and I can look at that list probably 10 times a day, probably more than 10 times a day, honestly. But I can look at it and realize, okay, what do I need to do now? And I can just kind of like pick something. And I don't have to, because it's rolling, I know that it'll never all be ticked off. And it allows me to give myself grace for the things that I don't accomplish that I want to. Just, yeah, that's something that has been working for me. I'm not saying that would work for everyone. I know that can be overwhelming for people to see it. But just for me, knowing that to-do list doesn't have an end time really helps me to be able to just take off a chunk at a time, look at what am I going to do next, and then just do that.
So Taylah, when you make your list, do you have them prioritized, like in that Notes app or whatever? Is there a way to, put the stuff that's important like to the top, or do you just add it to the bottom? I mean, how does that app work?
It's just it's built in on the iPhone. You could move them around. I don't, sometimes I do. Sometimes if you tick something off, it goes to the bottom. So sometimes I'll tick it off so it jumps to the bottom and then untick it again if I want to move it in the list. But then it's really satisfying then when I get like a bunch of things ticked off, because then I can go through and I can copy and I can delete. And then it just feels that idea of that whole passage just wiping. And then suddenly my list is so much smaller, gives you that like, feeling of completing a to-do list without having to actually finish it.
And I'm sure there's some sort of something for us Android users that don't use iPhones.
Yeah. Yes. There are definitely particular apps you can download for stuff like that. There's Todoist, I know some people use. I don't know. I can see in the chat that I went onto YouTube and I posted a comment, and I posted it twice, but it's not showing up in the chat. Is it showing up for anyone else? Because in talking about to-do lists and productivities, I'm trying to share someone's channel and it's not letting me.
It won't let you because you're not a moderator, because I didn't make you a moderator before we started.
Okay. That's okay. I will just type in the name of the channel without the link.
Sounds good. And if you do that, I can make the link too.
Okay.
And so I apologize. I forgot that we needed to do that with you.
That's all right. That might show up now. But this person, I found her channel recently, and she posts a lot about discipline and motivation, and like gives a realistic view of what it's like to have a chaotic mind, because some people aren't analytical like me and like lists. And she talks about how to maximize that. And I found her really interesting. It's all very well researched and very well presented information. Her videos are incredible. So for those that would consider themselves creative minds, she is definitely someone to watch, especially if you're interested in that idea of productivity.
Perfect. I added her in there.
I really like that Taylah included in their skin checks, because that's such an Aussie thing that we have here. So so for those of you that are outside of Australia, because the sun is so strong here, and skin cancer is a really, really big concern. I think we're the highest in the world for skin cancer rates here in Australia and New Zealand. And so you do need to go in frequently for skin checks of anything, and ensuring that everything is okay. Yeah, for that. I'm with my list, I'm similar to Taylah in that I compartmentalize, and because the same as an educator. And Chris Budgets, I saw your question earlier. If I wasn't an educator, what would I be doing? I actually wanted to be a lawyer. My mother told me I would never be anything other than a wife. So I'm just happy with having any type of job and being able to prove her wrong. Not that I'm bitter or anything. I know a good psychologist that I can talk to. But so there are some things that I know that I have to do every week for classes and work and research and such like that. So I have teaching days, I have research days, and I use Notion. So that's my app of choice, and I do time blocking as well. And so I know so I wake up early, as you do if you live in Queensland, because the sun rises at 4 o'clock during summer if you just get used to early mornings. So I know, Taylor's like, nope, sleep it in. But I know, so like from this time to this time, these are the things that I'm working on. And when that time is up, I'm done working on those things. So if the list is not done, I do have them prioritized. So I have things that I must do every day. I have things that would be nice to get done. And then I have a last one of, if you really have time, maybe do these. And then I have that split out between work, social media, cleaning the house, like vacuuming. I literally have vacuuming scheduled 3 times per day until I finally get a industrial style robo vac or something. But the things that I know that I break everything down like smaller and like for me, because I get overwhelmed. So if I just see that I need to prep for a course, I can't just have course prep. I need to make PowerPoint slides, post PowerPoint slides, post an announcement, post a follow-up, link a lecture recording, link these particular materials. I have to have it at that level of detail, because I get so overwhelmed with the chaos. I need to have it listed out. I also really like using mind maps as well. So drawing out mind maps of here are the things that I can do, and here's how they link to each other. So when I can see the relationships between doing this is going to impact this area, it's going to impact that area. And it also, lets me, it makes it easier. I love my husband to death. He needs detailed instructions sometimes. So when he says, what can I do to help? And he literally is looking for like details. So if I just say, clean the kitchen, he just goes, well, what about it? So if I have, okay, cabinets need to be wiped down, or the stove needs to be cleaned, or the backsplash needs to be cleaned. Dishes, those are kind of an obvious one. Scrubbing around the sink, right? Because you get all the around the like tap and such like that. And so it helps, it helps there as well. And it does look overwhelming. Like if people were to see my to-do list or my color blocked calendar, they would be like, what the heck? But I even have my naps like scheduled out. And what time, when am I answering comments on social media? I do not have notifications other than for a few things on my phone anymore. I don't have my work email on my phone. I think I mentioned that last time. They're not paying my phone bill. I'm not answering their emails. I don't answer student emails after 5 o'clock. Do not answer them on weekends. And I don't get, like Facebook notifications. I don't get YouTube notifications. I have set times that, that I go in and do that, because Otherwise I squirrel. Like last night, or not last night, the night before, I just went down a rabbit hole um on YouTube watching people on Omegle who play the piano and violin. And like I watched one video and 4 hours later it was like I was still chatting with you. That's why I was up so late. So if I don't block out, I will avoid other things at my detriment, really. And it's also gotten me to, like, with scheduling my lunch, because I think I have a more flexible work schedule as compared to Taylah. Taylah being in high school or secondary education, whereas I'm in university. I have a bit more flexibility with that. But I found also by scheduling my lunch, I remember to step away from my computer, and I don't work during my lunch. I enjoy my food. I enjoy the person that I'm visiting with or talking with, or even if it's just myself. But I've taken that time back for me, and having those breaks actually, I think, makes you more productive. Actually, research does show taking breaks does make you more productive by having those short breaks. That's why things like the Pomodoro technique works, right? You do something for 25 minutes, you have 5 minutes off. You do another thing for 25 minutes, 5 minutes off. The 5-minute technique. What can I get done in 5 minutes? And you set a timer, and and you go. And we know that works because it just gives you that little break. It's mental, it's psychological, to where you don't feel like you've just been go 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 go. There's a reason why they have breaks in sports. Okay, not Australian sports. They just go straight. They don't take breaks at all, other than like halfway through. No, seriously, like US football games take forever. They get a lot of breaks. Like rugby games, footy games, they play for that amount of time. They have halftime, and then they play again. But just as athletes need to have breaks of things, so do people.
And I love that you brought that up, Erin, because that was one of the topics that Taylah had asked about, is how do we, I think she used the word balance though. Her list said, how do we balance the hustle of having full-time jobs, doing YouTube, Etsy, and all of the other things that we do without allowing it to be toxic. And I can say that there are times when I have not recorded YouTube videos, and kind of given myself a couple days and stepped back. And also on my days off, I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos, honestly, because with the way my job is right now, it's one of those things where we are either so busy that we can barely keep up and we work a 12-hour shift without stopping, or we have a 12-hour shift where we have not very much to do. And so I fill my time with watching other people's YouTube videos during that time and stuff. And that's one of the ways for me that I've helped balance out my home life and my work life, and my YouTube life, is to, when I am home, instead of watching YouTube videos, I'm spending time with my husband, or bothering my son who's hiding in his room, or the Yorkies who are, yapping every time I try to film a YouTube video. Whenever I do grocery hauls on my other channel, every time they start barking. And it's because, like Erin was saying before we started the live, that you're giving attention to something else and they want the attention. And so we still have quite a few people in here. For those of you guys, it looks like we have a lot of people that do have budgeting channels, YouTube channels. How do you balance your life, or harmonize your lives, between doing a YouTube schedule and Instagram and Etsy and heaven knows what else? I know a lot of people have more than that for the side hustles. And I know for me, it is definitely a challenge with working 12-hour shifts. And that's like the one day Taylor's like, I'm impressed that you got a video out today. Sometimes I impress myself as well. I'm trying to get where I have the videos filmed ahead of time. But with budgeting, it's a little bit harder because it's more schedule driven. And I think that's why for my second channel, it doesn't stress me out, because I can film cooking videos anytime. I can film grocery hauls. I can film any of that stuff anytime, and it's not schedule driven. So let's see what some people find or say in the comments here?
I'm hoping Chris Budget's comments, because I notice her. I see her working all her OT, filming late at night with a young child. Like, girl, she's got some scheduling down pat, even though she's got her employer husband editing her videos on the side.
All right, so we've got Crystal from the Crystal Method that says, I find it hard not being addicted to YouTube being home alone. And I definitely understand that. And like Erin said, we can go down those rabbit holes and all of a sudden, how many hours later, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, you know, I tell you what, TikTok, biggest time waster in my life, but all of my feed is generally positive stuff. And so it just makes me happy. It makes me laugh. It makes me giggle. And for me, that is part of my self-care. You know what I mean? When I've got a few minutes just to laugh, because it's so good for us. And everybody is so serious most of the time that it's nice just to relax and laugh. And so let's see. I see Jessie here. So Jessie over at J Whackers, she says, I don't have a full-time job, so it's a lot easier for me. But I set specific work hours, a set schedule for filming and editing. And then she said, well, not lately, but in general. And you say you don't have a full-time job, but I know you do a lot for your family and Austin, and I see everything you do. And so there is that too. So there's still, you still have to find that harmony between your YouTube and your home life, because if not, YouTube can take over everything.
Can we all just acknowledge Budget with chuckles here? Mom of 7. Wow. Good on ya. That is, and balancing that also with filming. I consider myself a mom of 2 because my son is just kind of an overgrown child. And then I've got the 2 dogs, but 7, well done. How have you managed to fit in, like find the time to get that filming in as well? I'm super nosy. I'm just like, what is the range of age of your kids? Where do you find time? I want to know. Sorry to put you on. Sorry to put you on the spot as well, but
I bumped back up a little bit because we have Desiree, and she says she typically films while she's having a lot of downtime at work. So that's a good way to balance if that's an option for you. You'll notice if you see editing Marlene, sometimes she might be at work, but generally there's no way I could film a full video at work, obviously, but we all have different things, and you've got to make it work around what your schedule will let you do. So yeah, Mom of 7, Budget with Chuckles. Wow. And then I see Jessie. She does a lot of batch filming and editing. I know there's several people that I've heard of that do this, and I try to do it as well. I believe I heard Taylah before we came on the live say that she had just filmed a couple videos, right, Taylah?
Yes, I have a few more to go today too. My partner works every second weekend, so I take the opportunity with a quiet house to film. And then on the weekend that he's home while he's sleeping in, I'm editing.
Perfect. Then we've got our friend Chris Budgets, who says she appreciates you, Tay, but she has no schedule at all. She just does what she can, and she's always up late posting her videos. She also has a really cool editor. I mean, how many of you guys wouldn't just love for your husband to edit your videos for you? I don't know how she got that deal, but I want that deal.
I am going to point out, though, that that's probably why she's also always late for work. I love you, Chris.
When she's doing her reels, right? When she's driving in the car and she's talking,
she's always like, I'm late.
I'm late. Only 2 minutes late, though, Chris says. And then the one video, I noticed, I'm like, you don't have your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on. And she's like, I have to take my seatbelt off to reach for the key card holder. And I watch her, and I'm like, I don't believe that you have to. I think, Chris, you should try to reach it with your seatbelt on. I think you could do it. And that's just me in law enforcement, because I noticed that stuff, right? It's like she's driving and she doesn't have her seatbelt on. So too funny. All right. So then we've got Clark's on a budget right here. Try to do all of her recordings on Fridays, and then set times on Saturday and Sundays to edit and post. And so, yeah, I think that's the main thing with finding that harmony, right, that works for your schedule. And our schedules are all so different, and we're all such different people, professionally, personally, family-wise. And we've got Katie with 2 eyes, work, school, Etsy, YouTube, Instagram. It's hard. Now that I'm done with school, I'm hoping it frees up so much more time. And yeah, school is definitely hard. I'm, of course, still in school. Ask me how much schoolwork I've got done lately. None, because I'm on a 100% self-paced class. I have 3 classes left, and that's it. So I've got to buckle down, get them done, so that I can check that off of my list. So
you realize you've got the 2 educators here giving you the look. Like, we're giving you the exact same look.
That's the bad thing about 100% self-paced. I mean, not having semesters, not having deadlines, I definitely work better under pressure. So when there's no pressure, it's like, it'll get done eventually. And then
you're about to get pressure from both of us. She's laser focused on you now.
I know, I got to get it done. I have 5 years to get my program done, and I think I've been in it for 2.5. I really took off like a skyrocket right in the very beginning, and then I got slower and slower, and now I'm pretty much at a stop. So I've got to get this class done. All right, so then budget with Chuckles. All right, so here's some of her answers. So she has older kids to help me with the little ones. So that I'm sure does make it nice. I had 2 children, and I can't imagine having 7. And then they love YouTube and are so happy I started my channel and are on it with me and super supportive. That is amazing. All right, and then we've got Ro here. What does Ro have to say? I watch YouTube and edit and other social media at work when it's slow. I do that too, like I said. I have no cell phone goals weekly, about 2 to 3 days a week. Those days I'm with my kids or family time. Yeah, the shutting the cell phone off, that type of stuff. For us, no cell phones at dinner, stuff like that when we have conversations, but it's amazing how easy I find it. Like, we're having a conversation at dinner and all of a sudden the question comes up and I'm like, oh, let me Google that really quick to find the answer. And then it's like, no, that can wait right now. So I love that Row. And then we did get a response from Chris. Being on time is just not in her character. So
I want to real quick. I want to jump in because I had the opportunity to because you were talking about no cell phones, etc. I had the opportunity to meet Taylah, and she came up here and we went and we had lunch and went to the beach and almost got hit by a kid that was learning how to use a kite surfing a kite. She is amazing in that. Not once, I think only one time did she check her phone because she was going to be continuing up the coast to her sister's. She gives 100% attention when she's talking with somebody. She is 100% present, and it is absolutely amazing to have that because I was getting notifications on my watch and I was really feeling bad afterwards. So I'm sorry, Taylah, but I just want to acknowledge that that's one of the many beautiful qualities that you have, is just how intentional you are when you give your time to something.
Please don't make me cry on live. Wow, I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh. That's mean. I don't even want to comment.
Quit calling me mean and a bully, because people keep coming at me telling me to stop bullying you. Okay. I was like, all I said was she needs to count her coins.
Okay, I need to say, for all the Americans in the room, the Australian love language is bullying banter. This is how we show love, is we bully someone. My year 11 students lately, their new thing is, because we looked up the Myers-Briggs personality test, and it says that one of my weaknesses is that I can be callous and insensitive. And so whenever I say anything mean to them, they're like, "Miss, you're being callous and insensitive right now."
See, that's amazing though, that Taylah, that you put your phone down and you are with people. And that's why I hate the watches that give you notifications. Bridger just recently got a new watch that does that. And all he does when I'm talking to him, and I'm sure he doesn't even realize it yet, is look down at his watch and look down at his watch and look down at his watch. And it's one of those things that to be present, right? And to actively listen. And so many of us have our brains going so many different ways. Like my brain, I'm sure you guys can tell when I'm filming, I'm thinking 5 steps ahead of even what I'm talking about right then. And so I get tripped up because I'm just so, my brain is just always running, always running. And so, you know, it keeps me on my toes that way. And so let's see what else. Oh, so Chris says she can't because the seatbelt gets tight, gets too tight, so tight, whatever, Chris. I don't believe you. Chris budgets. And so here is our friend, another friend, Chris over at Budgeting Just Because. I'm starting to enjoy doing lives more than filming videos, no editing required. I do agree with that because it is really nice. I don't know, how long does it take you, Taylah, to edit one of your videos, and Erin, one of yours? Just give me a ballpark figure because I know you guys know how much my video lengths vary. I just put a video up that was under 10 minutes and everybody was shocked. You're welcome. But then I just put one up that was 45 minutes. So obviously those, you can't compare that. But I say for a 10-minute video, for me, realistically, I probably, by the time I make a thumbnail and do everything, I'm probably spending close to an hour at least, if not more, depending on how many times I've flubbed up during the video.
For myself, I would say between an hour and 2 altogether. I talk a lot and I stutter a lot because I talk too fast. So that does mean that I have extra editing, but I'm pretty tech savvy. So I'm pretty quick on my editing. And I kind of have my system sorted where while my video is exporting, I'm making my thumbnail. While my video is uploading, I'm fixing up my description. Like I'm pretty good at like doing things while I can't do other things. But yeah, definitely. I reckon probably more realistically 2 hours because my videos are usually between 15 and 23 minutes long. Erin?
Depends on the length of the video. But I would say probably 2 to 3 hours. So like my one that I put up last night, you know, just my coin one, that video started off at 42 minutes with all of the different stuff ups and swearing and dogs barking and like everything else. And like if I included a blooper reel and the number of times I say, Erin, why the did you just say that? And so I just like I let it record the whole time and then I cut things out. And then also because I have the lung issues and I'm really self-conscious about my breathing because I have really shallow breathing and it can be heard. I like right there. So yeah, I have to take a lot of breaks out. If it's a longer video, then it will take more time. And my editing is basic for the most part. The ones that take the shortest amount of time are screen recordings. So when I'm doing anything in my spreadsheets, which I love my spreadsheets, and those ones are pretty easy to get through and edit because it's very formulaic as well. You have to pay your husband more. Editing takes way too long. Well, I was gonna ask a question about how are you paying him right now, but I probably I just did.
Erin, my students know I have this. They will watch. You can't be inappropriate.
She's like, we're trying to keep it G-rated. All right.
Yeah, my conduct.
So Jessie, I wanted to point this one out. I like this right here because she says, I've also just have recently let go of the idea that I have to film and post every day. I've totally screwed up my algorithm up, but I've been prioritizing family time and I'll never regret taking this time. And I think that that is so important. And that's one of the things that we talk about with the negativity that is associated with the hustle and the productivity. Because if you're working so hard that you're taking time away from those that you love and things that you enjoy doing, then even though you may, like Erin, have $7,000 in sales on Etsy for the week, money doesn't mean everything. And for Erin, like she said, when she started her Etsy, she didn't have monetary goals. I mean, we all know we like a little bit of extra money to stuff here and there. And you guys always hear me say that I need more money for all the savings challenges, especially now that I just bought, like, I don't know how many new savings challenges, but I don't have any money to stuff them. But I'm going to stuff them. Dang it. And so, and Chris, of course, said she's going to put her seatbelt on, but she's going to try it on Monday. But if she's late, she might not have time. Do we want to start a poll? Is Chris from Chris Budget's going to be late to work on Monday? Isn't Monday a holiday, Chris? Do you work on Monday? I mean, I work because the field that I work, we're 365 days, 24/7. There are no holidays. We're Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know, whatever. And
What is
so,
all going to be? Yes, obviously, absolutely. Like,
yes, 100% she's going to be late. How many of you guys agree with that? Raise your hand in the comments. Put your hand up. Now she's going to be on time just to prove us wrong.
this is bullying, but it's friendly bullying. We love her.
We do love her.
It's banter. You know, funny thing though, with mentioning a holiday in the US, the number of times I get asked if I have, oh, do you get is Thanksgiving a holiday for you? I'm like, no, I'm in Australia. They're like, oh, but you're an American. I'm like, I don't get a holiday just because of my nationality in the country that I live.
And I just had to
The number of times I get those questions.
That is hilarious for Thanksgiving. I mean, do people know what Thanksgiving is celebrating? I mean, why would Australia have Thanksgiving? That's funny.
Because we do have a large expat community and such. I will see when Thanksgiving gets here, I will send you pictures of the price of the turkey. You thought the watermelon was ridiculous? You thought the plum was ridiculous? Wait until you see the price of a turkey in Australia. It's not 25 cents per pound like you get in the US when you buy $20 worth of groceries.
We'll even see if there's turkeys this year or not, because with, you know, they're talking about that we might not have turkeys for Thanksgiving this year with all of the craziness and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. And so I wanted to say, show hands and bands right here for Alicia. A lot of us know Alicia. And so she says, she knows she's jumping in the middle, but she said, I've tried to batch record so the videos are scheduled and set up on the weekend for the week. And I do know that if I can get that done, boy, it takes a lot of the pressure off. And so,
that one.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about, someone mentioned algorithm before. And that's one of the things that is on kind of that topic of balance and boundaries. That's something that I've had to let go of too, is because I know technically if you upload a video, but it's private, it doesn't help the algorithm when it goes live. Like, it can affect your views. And it's one of those boundary points where, for me, where I've gone, but once it's done, it's uploaded, it's scheduled. That's when it's happening. I'm not pulling it down again to upload it again on the right day. Like, that's just, it can't happen. That's got to be a boundary. Same for me with TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I don't post on TikTok. And while my 14-year-old niece is like, you got to get your TikTok going, I'm like, I just can't. I just cannot add another damn thing to my plate. I just can't do it. Like, the only reason I have TikTok is to monitor my 14-year-old niece's TikTok for her mother, who doesn't have it at all. So you have to know where your line is, and that's my line. And I know that I could do better. I might have more views. I might get more sales on Etsy on my digital products, but that's another thing. Digital only is the way to go. I'm with Chris on that one, because I don't want to be in the position that Erin was in. I can't do it. And that's the thing about, in kind of all of our roles, in all of our jobs, we have to show up as 100% of ourselves because our jobs require it. So it is part of my salary that I allow myself rest and I don't burn myself out, because who am I to the future generation if I'm not showing up at work able and willing to give 100%? Like, I can't. It's non-negotiable.
No, I like that. And that is part of your salary. That's a great point. Go ahead, Erin.
Oh, I was perfect timing also bringing up Chris there with the algorithm needs to be fired. I think that's another thing that actually does, I think, sometimes kind of drive us to maybe some of those more not so great behaviors is trying to get the algorithm, trying to get that viral video, trying to, trying to take off. And I think most people that we've seen, like if you look at Taylah Budgets, like, she was 100% organic when she launched, and Jasmine at Baddies and Budgets as well. It just, I don't think there's enough people talking about not being a slave to the probably not a good phrase. Please don't come at me, but not letting the algorithm drive everything that you do as well, because I think that also goes to authenticity. And then, are you being authentic to yourself? Are you it goes back to your why. Are you making the content that you wanted to make for the people that you wanted to make it for, or are you trying to do something that's just not you? And you cannot show up, you cannot be authentic if you're not wearing your own suit. You can't. And it might work temporarily. It might get you the subs, it might get you the views, it might get you the the monetization. Are you going to be happy with yourself at the end of the day? Are you going to love yourself at the end of the day? Are you, like, I love that Taylah students know that that she has a channel and such. And also, I did hear you say damn, so they're going to hear that you said that too. But so they're me. But would you be embarrassed if your friends and family were to find out? Not self-conscious. There's a difference between being self-conscious about what you're doing and about being embarrassed. My best friend, my Mindy Luhu, is one of the few people that knows about my channel. You won't see her comment on it. She'll comment sometimes on Instagram, but she would call me up in a heartbeat if I were being inauthentic. I think Marlene knows me well enough now too, that she'd be like, yeah, no, that's not you. And like my friend, Mindy she's literally the type, when I asked her one time, does this dress make me look fat? And she's like, no, it's the fat that makes you look fat. The dress has nothing to do with it. That's how honest she is. So you feel a disconnect when you are not being yourself. You feel a disconnect if you are just trying to do what you think you need to do to achieve these, things. And I think it's important to keep yourself grounded in that. Just like with budgeting, they always say, start with your why. And I think it's the same with any type of side hustle. Start with your why. How much can you put on your plate? I changed all of my names because I had 2 different Instagram accounts, one for my YouTube channel, one for my Etsy channel. And I just could not handle that anymore. And I loved my Twibble name because Twibble has a very special meaning to me. It hurt giving that up, but it really was the best thing. And I also went against what the majority, I had over 150 people weigh in on my poll. Overwhelmingly 60% said change everything to budgets by the beach. And I went with the other option of Erin Budgets Aimlessly, because that just felt more, to me, it felt more genuine. It felt more authentic. Taylah and I were talking about like my colors that I'm using as well. And do I, bring in the blues and such from the beach, or do I stick with the rose gold? And I'm like, I don't like rose gold all that much. I really don't. But I had a lot of people saying that, well, this is what you should use because this is what other people like. And I'm like, but I don't like it. Pink is growing on me. Thanks, Taylah. She does take credit for that, but it's green. We're Yeti twins, but it's, yeah. I think it might be something that I think a lot of channels and a lot of people go through that. in that you start off one way and then you kind of lose your way a bit, and then you have some kind of an epiphany or something happens and you're just like, wait a minute, no, let's backtrack. Let's go back to what it was kind of originally, and let's just go back to being who, yes, we all grow, we all change. So I'm not saying that, that can't happen, but losing, on Wednesdays we wear pink. Oh my God, I love Mean Girls. Love that. Get in the car, girls. We're going shopping. Sorry. Okay.
Don't be sorry. You're good.
It's because Chris said that on Wednesdays we wear pink. That's from Mean Girls.
I know. You're good. And no, I love the point there that you found the boundary. You knew it was too much for you, so you had to reassess. And of course, on one of my most recent budgeting videos, I talked about your budget should be like a river, right? A river is always changing. It's changing its direction. It's changing how much water is in it. It should be always changing because that's what our budgets are doing. And same thing for our channels and stuff. And it is so important to, as I said from the beginning of this channel, keeping it real, right? I'm always keeping it real. You guys are going to see that from me. I mean, I posted a video for anybody that watches my other channel. I posted a video and I had a towel on my head and I did not give a crap. Because that is when I had time to film and I wanted to film it and I wanted to get it done. And, that is how I balance. And, if you see a budgeting video without my face in the beginning, it's probably because I haven't showered and my hair is standing up like this. And you don't see very many because usually I'll throw a hat on. But, you've got to find those boundaries and keep your life in harmony if at all possible. And now, Taylah, I looked through your list and it looked like we talked about most of your talking points, except for one thing I did notice that we didn't talk about is like future goals and aspirations and, what you hope for your future. What did your, right? Yes, that's on your list. So do you have some goals? Did you write down some answers?
I did. So for goals, I just more meant with this social media thing, right? And I kind of feel like we've touched on it a little bit. And it's funny because I feel like, Marlene, you and I had a conversation the other day about remembering our why, but Erin is the one that brought it up in this video. And in hearing Erin talk about authenticity, I thought about the fact that if you lose your authenticity, that's where you bleed the fun out of it. Right. And we all started this because it's fun, for a hobby, for something that was meant to bring joy to our lives. So it shouldn't feel like work. And I think playing the game of the algorithm, feeling like we have to do this and that to earn money from it, treating it like a hustle, takes the fun out of it, makes it work, makes it a job, makes it you're striving for money out of it. And that's something that I've taken steps back in where I've been like, oh, I really could be putting all of my YouTube earnings towards a fancy camera. I could replace my lighting and get better lighting. I could be posting more frequently. I have the video ideas to post more frequently, but not only is that not good for my physical health, but that makes this not fun anymore. I want to be able to film videos because I find it fun to do so and stuff like that. And in terms of goals, that's my goal, is to make sure that it's fun. I want to work on digital products for Etsy when inspiration strikes. I don't want to feel like, oh, I want to be earning more money from Etsy. What can I put out? And that's pretty much my main goal. The number of subs to hit, I don't have a number. I don't want a number. That was something that I was tracking in my monthly reset videos. And I found time and time again that I just don't care. Like, yes, I appreciate those numbers growing and I want to continue to grow, but I don't have a rapid pace that I want to grow at or numbers to hit. Milestones feel good. Of course they feel good, but that's not what this is about. That's kind of why I set my schedule when I did of my Thursdays and Sundays. When I set that schedule, I was posting less than what I was prior. And part of that was to kind of make myself accountable to rest time. And posting 2 videos a week was an achievable number. And the last few weeks with doing my little mini series, means it's 3 videos a week, and that has been intense enough for that 3 weeks that it was happening. But again, that wasn't something that I did for the algorithm, for the numbers. A budgeting beginners mini series isn't getting as much views as a cash stuffing, because the people watching cash stuffings know how to budget. But it was a gap in the market. It was something that I knew that people wanted and needed based on DMs I was getting. And the fact that I know Caroline's news article, Cara Cash's news article, has brought attention to the idea of cash envelope stuffing in Australia. If you heard about that, I know Erin has, but yeah, you have heard about it. Great. And so I feel like that was something that was needed, rather than something that I could do to get views. So yeah, keep it fun is my goal.
I love that goal. That is absolutely amazing. And Erin, do you have some goals you want to share with us, or do you want me to go? She took her mute off. She's got it.
No, I haven't, because I've been reassessing everything. I actually haven't come up really with new goals or anything. I mean, my plan had always been get out of debt, get to investing, and then the Australia Securities and Investing Commission said that I cannot talk about investing because I am not a licensed financial planner or advisor. It's not like in the US. And I've had some people say, oh, well, you can just have a disclaimer. No, you can't just, you can't. I can't mention anything in terms of investing. And that was the direction that I really wanted to go, because I've really enjoyed learning about it. And it's something that I thought I would never be able to understand. And I consider myself to be a pretty intelligent person, but I really doubted myself and my ability to understand financing and investing. And so it's trying to, trying to reassess around that. The videos that I like the most on my channel are the ones that perform the worst, but they're the ones that I really like. So it's getting into my budget, getting into my spreadsheets. I would eventually like to move forward to talking more around the psychology of money, because I'm a psychologist. Why not use that background that I have? But that's really hard to do with, just your hands. It takes this, and this I'm really uncomfortable with. Getting there, which is, doing lives and such. I am also going to real quick say, you mentioned that in your previous video that budgeting is like a river and it changes and ebbs and flows. Not a good example to use with 2 Queenslanders when we just had massive flooding from our rivers twice this year and in New South Wales. Just, just kind of putting that out there as we've had. It's raining again today. It's the 2nd day of spring and it's still bloody raining. But yeah, that's it. For me, it's more really working on myself and my confidence. It's a crazy thing. I had mentioned I've mentioned to you, before, Marlene. I stand in front of 500 students. I do presentations at conferences in front of, very large groups. But I can't film myself on camera. And Taylah was funny mentioning, yes, I could put that money away for a new camera. Have you, Marlene, started using the camera that you bought? Because I haven't used mine, and I bought it almost a year ago.
No, I haven't, everybody. No, I have not. I bought a camera for YouTube.
Used mine either.
No, and it's really pretty in its box.
Yeah, I've taken mine out of the box, and I have the box still, but I haven't used it. But again, though, that does speak to, kind of like how you do get, caught up in the things. And then it's just, it's the same as I had somebody like comment on my Mo terms. I'm like, honestly, I actually don't really like them that much. They look nice. Look at like, but honestly, and that's And that's an idea actually that I that I have for a video, that, anybody can take the idea and run with it. But 5 things that, if I were starting budgeting and cash stuffing today, these are the 5 things that I would not do, that I've done, because I think that that's, yeah, it's, you get so caught up. I mean, I know why we have those items. One, tax write-off. That's always good because it's used in a video, and it does look nice. And I see people, like with their, don't get me wrong, I love Louis Vuitton as well. Chris just did a beautiful unboxing. I was calling out myself too, Lori. And if you were here at the beginning, you would know that she put us on the spot at the very beginning, so she deserved it. Um, but there are a lot of things that I also do. Yeah, I do sometimes. I question. Uh, am I, with the products that I'm using? Am I actually leading people in the opposite direction of what I started my channel to help them do? Because I have seen people that have gone and bought Moterns on their credit cards, or other things, and I I feel bad, honestly. I feel bad for that. Um, maybe I'll give them, I don't know, maybe I'll give them away, send them randomly to people because I like doing that, not telling people that I'm, doing something. Tay's like, send it my way. She wants the white one. Um, but I can see that you're like, ooh, free stuff from Erin. But yeah, it's, and yeah, Jesse, I'm the same. Easily influenced, get up. Me too. Me too. I mean, I've got so many different planners and things that I really just, that I don't need. When I started budgeting, when I started stuffing cash envelopes, I was in the early 2000s when I found Dave Ramsey. And I was literally, because I was so broke, I was a single mom in graduate school on a PhD student stipend, which was $1,200 per month, which doesn't go very far when you need a second bedroom with a small child. And my ex-husband has been completely absent. Marlene, you know this. It's no surprise to you. I was literally using the envelope, the return envelopes when you get your bills, or when people send you free stuff and such, and they would have like the envelopes to return things. That's what I was using when I was cash stuffing, and I was writing things down in a notebook, and that worked. Like all the other things, they don't motivate me. And I'll be honest, I almost feel like a fraud sometimes, because I'm like, oh, here's the things that I'm selling, but I'm just like, oh, but you really, yeah, you really don't need it. That's one that I've been really, really struggling with, mentally, for that. So I think going forward, I'm probably, I'm probably going to strip things back a lot. And I mean, I'll keep Wilma. Can't get rid of her. But Fred would not be happy at all. But yeah, I think that it's, and I think somebody said that it's, yeah, Crystal, impulsive, trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it it does. And Jesse said the same thing as well. It happens, and I think that's also, again, how you start to lose, you lose sight of why you started doing something in the first place. Off my soapbox. Sorry.
I wouldn't know what to do if you didn't put on your soapbox. It wouldn't be a conversation. So yes, everybody, I bought the camera that I had to have, and then I realized that I didn't know how to use it, and it would take effort to learn how to use that camera and to learn a new editing software. And it's on that to-do list, but it's always at the bottom, so it never gets done. Eventually I may use it, or I may sell it. I don't know. And I mean, I saved money for that. You guys watched me save $600 to buy that camera, and it is sitting in a box on my desk, like right in front of me. But now I got sidetracked because of the camera thing. I had something for toxicity and goals, and now I can't remember it because that's what happens on live. I didn't take a note because I was listening to Erin, and now I'm so sad. So for me, I don't have, oh, I remember it. Yay. Talk about toxicity and productivity and goals, and the number 2000 on my main channel was the most toxic thing that I've had in the past 6 months of my channel, because I was stuck since March at like 1900, and my channel would go up and my channel would go down, and the analytics were so toxic for me, so toxic. And you try not to look at them, right? You try not to worry about it, but then you get excited because you're like, ooh, I got 10 new subscribers, and then the next day you're down 12, and so I think the analytics can be very toxic, and I know for me they are. And I'm, since I reached the 2000, I do not have a new subscriber goal. I'm not making one. Whenever I make it, I will make it. My second channel is doing really well, but I don't have a subscriber count for that one either. And so I love your goal, Taylah, of keeping it fun. And I've been really trying to do that in my videos, and I feel like my videos have shown that I'm coming back to who I was more in the beginning, having fun, laughing, you know what I mean, in my videos, and just rolling with it, you know what I mean, and being who I am. And I find myself apologizing, and it was so funny because I just did like the video today that I put, and when I edited it, I almost wanted to take out a big section where I was apologizing because I spent over $200 on alcohol. Why do I have to apologize to anybody? If I choose to spend $200 to fill my wine rack and my booze stash, then what does it matter? But I spent, like, I don't know, 2 minutes. And I mean, what does that tell us? We're driven by other people's opinions and influence on YouTube. And so for me, I'm right there with you, Taylah. Like I said, I do not have a set goal as far as YouTube, anything like that. I do know that I am trying to get to Hawaii as cheap as I possibly can, because if not, Erin's going to beat me with a stick because I'm going to have to use Australia money to go to Hawaii. And then my husband.
Taylah was one of the first people I think I saw that had an envelope for gambling.
Yeah.
You usually don't see. I mean, I've made envelopes for people that are for all kinds of things. I've made a lot of envelopes over the past year. There is no label I haven't made, but Taylah was one of the first that I saw actually had an envelope for gambling. I've seen a few people that have envelopes for alcohol. Caroline, who has just joined us. Hey, Caro, and Shalit's Mommy Trader is here as well. Caroline is quite open with saving for the Melbourne Cup as well. Horse race and such. So seeing more discussion around that. It's like everybody knows that, Gary, the $100 that he gets, that, he's spending that on, he's spending that on beer. I'm the same. I mean, I don't mention it because I'm just like, oh my gosh, people are going to think that that's so much. And they're normal, they're normal parts that goes also kind of, like to the negativity and such as well, of, well, it's my budget, not yours. It's my money, not yours. And you know what? If my husband wants to go and spend $100 at the pub or $100 on the pokies, great. I mean, if he wants to go spend $100 at the strip club, fine. It's just, tip them well. That's don't bring her home.
Hey,
those are the only rules, really. But
the two of us aren't the only ones here. But I think it comes back to, you were saying before, Erin, about how, like, almost like you didn't use the word, but the guilt that you feel, like feeling like a fraud for having stuff that helps you to budget. And I can understand why, with the fact that that doesn't motivate you, and the fact that, that could encourage others to spend money on that, feeling like that. But I can happily agree to disagree, because I am the other side. I am the other side, the person that bought into this for the fun of it and for the aesthetic of it and benefited from that. So yes, someone might buy a mo term on a credit card to start this journey. But if that starts this journey, they're still going to be in a better place 12 months from now. And that's really important too. And I know, again, like that idea that that's not something that drives you and you don't need that. But if you not needing that, but you having that to display it in a way that other people can then learn from it, it's still valuable and it's still worthwhile. So just, I don't want anyone that like heard that to think or feel guilty themselves for owning a moterm if that's what does inspire them. And I know that's not what you meant by it, but I just wanted to make sure that anyone listening heard that. And yes, I am holding my dog's foot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not definitely not meant in any negative way. I mean, find whatever helps you, whatever keeps you going, keeps you motivated, or like you said, gets you started and such. Because that's, I think, that's really what it comes down to for it. So yeah, I didn't mean it in a way of like shaming or anything like that, but just my own thought processes behind of what, of what I do. For me, that's just one of the things that I grapple with. And I saw the little puppy paw too.
All right, now I want to open it up to anybody that's here with us. Do you guys have any specific questions for anybody? We didn't talk about an end time for the live, but I want to make sure that if anybody has any questions that you have time, we have time to answer them for you. I think it can be anything. If we don't want to answer it, we won't. And I will say, like, I understand what Erin's saying about, her moterms and stuff like that. And for me, I didn't buy anything pretty for a long time. Like if you watched my channel and stuff like that, you know that I kept it pretty simple. I used the Budgeting Mom printables and I used a highlighter. I had no stickers. I had nothing. And I rewarded myself with that stuff as the debt started going away. So for me, it was definitely a reward. And that's when the binders started coming in. I mean, I started watching Jessie with Jay Wackers and she had one of the little file folder things. And I used that for a long time. It was really affordable. And so I think that it just, has different meanings for all of us. And I see that there is a question there. And so I'm going to put it up and it's for you, Erin. Did you see it? You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
She's not how honest of an answer. Oh, how honest of an answer do I give here? With my current husband, I've never been to a strip club with him. My former husband, I have because I worked in a strip club.
All right, Taylah. Here you go. This one's for you.
Yeah, we call it high school rather than secondary school. It's year 7 to year 12. What was the rest of that one? Would you say you're fairly compensated compared to, yes. I originally, I remember being in grade 9 and a teacher saying to me, you should really reconsider teaching as a career path. And I was like, nope, doesn't earn enough. No. I was a high achiever. I wanted good income. And it was always like, yep, plan B. And then when my plan A didn't pan out, I was searching for another plan A because I still went, nope, teaching doesn't earn enough. I want to earn more money than that. And then my sister went, I'm on 100K. And I went, oh, it does earn enough. But everything that I had heard through the grapevine was that teachers are underpaid and it's crappy income. And that all pretty much came from the idea that your teachers are underpaid. It is pretty good and it just gets better every year. I just started my 3rd year and I think I'm earning about $500 a fortnight more than when I first started. So you get a lot of pay rises really early on. And I mean, the people that start now are earning a lot more than I was when I first started as well. Bless you, dog. But yeah, so it definitely does pay well. Yesterday we had a student free day, and I just finished off all of my modules for QCAA, the Queensland something or other authority, where I can do other jobs like confirmation, endorsement, etc., external assessment marking, which is essentially a side hustle of teaching, and I can earn extra money doing jobs through them each year as well, which supplements the income. So it's good. Definitely. And that's not even including any leadership roles and stuff like that, that take you even higher in terms of income. And you don't have to do that anyway. Like, I can become an experienced senior teacher, which over time, and apply for those. And again, they increase your income as well. So it's financially, teaching is really good in Australia. And I feel very lucky for that.
All right. And I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but it's blown up with questions for Erin. But first, I'm going to go to Crystal's question because it was here. And so she's asking all of us, do we feel like our budgeting journey gets repetitive or boring due to being consistent? And I do think, for me personally, when I film, I do think that some of them are very repetitive. And, that's just the way it is if you're doing a good job and you're consistent. Because I've watched some people that say they're on a debt-free journey, and I say I'm on a debt-free journey too, and I still travel and I still get some debt, but I watched a couple people that are on a debt-free journey, and then they, charge $100,000 more for a new porch and a new car and a new everything else. And it's like, if I'm going to tell you guys I'm on a debt-free journey, I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that I'm consistent and I'm paying down those debts, whether they're boring or not. I don't know what else to say about that. Anybody else?
I think I think mine is really boring and repetitive, particularly because of, and Tay, you can agree or disagree here. In Australia, everything is set weekly or fortnightly. So we don't have this monthly thing that you have in the US. So yes, you have some bills that are due once a month, but things like rent or a mortgage usually due every week. You pay those weekly. And so save my response for your live. Oh, no, Marlene's coming back to that one, Chris. I guarantee it. So I think for us, it's actually a lot easier because if we have a weekly pay, because a lot of people are on weekly pay, like my son is paid weekly. Other people are on fortnightly. I think Caroline is on weekly. That's why hers is very much the same week after week after week. Because once you get into that rhythm and you know exactly how much you are putting to each of your other things, you know exactly how much you have left over as well. And it might change a little bit, but I mean, I know every single week $400 is coming out for the mortgage. I know that, every week $19.95, why they don't just put it at $20, I don't know, is coming out for my pool. And so it makes it really easy to plan, but it does make it a bit repetitive. I think that's also kind of the nature, is that as you hone things in and those, you get that intimacy with your finances. So they're no longer directing you, you're directing them. That's the reality. What changes, okay, so Caroline says she gets paid fortnightly, but splits it up to film weekly. I think I lost my train of thought because I started looking over at the comments and I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble, and mutes herself. I'll pick up that train where it left off, and say that for myself, it isn't boring. Yes, I don't even think it's repetitive, honestly. I find that anytime I budget, like, even though it's different every time, and that's because I allow it to be. I could work out amounts that I could put into all of my sinking funds every paycheck and it'd be fine, but I choose to mix it up to keep it fun. I recently just felt like I was starting to feel a bit stagnant in my budget, and that's why I'm separating out my savings challenge videos again. And I have just downloaded and laminated a bunch of different savings challenges, because even if I'm putting less into more challenges, that's going to keep that fun alive. And I think that's why I am so big on the budget revamp train. Like, always revamping your budget, making it different, because by adjusting it, you get rid of that idea of that stagnant state, and you're able to adapt to new circumstances. And maybe my life's just been a bit chaotic because I feel like I've had so many budget revamps because my life keeps changing. And you two know that my budget is about to change again, but the live doesn't know why, and they're going to have to wait to get that answer. And so I think, yeah, that's why my channel is just at this point in time, like a shrine to Carakash, because I love all my different trackers and savings challenges, and just the creativity, as well as, and I know Marlene, you're big on this one, the idea of community, by being able to include and talk about all different channels in this community. That makes it fun too. And that takes it away from being boring, and it feels like a group effort. They say it takes a village to raise kids. Well, it takes a budgeting community to get me to save money. And that's my take on that for now.
I like that, Taylah. And I know one thing that does help me keep my stuff a little bit more entertaining is Georgette and Fred Jr. You know, I don't know how I can't come up with the stuff, you guys. I really don't. I mean, Georgette was born and Fred, and then I killed Fred, and then Fred Jr., and then Wilma joined in. You know what I mean? That's how Erin and I became good friends, was because she named her succulent Wilma and put it on my channel. I mean, that is how that friendship was born, because of that silliness. And that's just me. I mean, my calculator, Mr. Casio, that same calculator that I've had since high school. See, I really want one of those stupid pink clickety clackety calculators, but I'm not buying one. Okay. Mr. Casio would be pissed. All right. So I'm keeping him. I'm not getting a pink clickety clackety. All right. So we have to go back to this, because we just have to. And it wouldn't be alive on my channel if we didn't talk about something a little bit pushing the border. So, you know, our good friend budgeting, and just because. Erin, do you have anything else to back it up? And, you know, I mean, were you like playing the violin there, or serving drinks, or were you working and twerking?
I was working and twerking. I'm not so clever as to be able to play a violin with any body parts of any type. So yeah, my stage name was Aspen. So people got to watch my ass spin, and yeah, I worked in a strip club for about 1.5 years when I was in college the first time. So yes, some strippers actually do pay for college and go on to get PhDs.
See, that's amazing. I love it. And I love that you just throw it out there and you don't care. And that's the way it should be, because that, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that do that to make the ends meet. Stuff those envelopes.
You know what? I was 21. It was in California. Ironically, my license, because in California at the time you actually had to have a license to work in a strip club, and so topless only. No, nothing like Hawaii or other places. You know, 6 foot rule, no touching, etc. So a lot of different rules and such. And that met some really, really amazing women as well. And I just learned a lot about assumptions and stereotypes, and not to judge people. That's like really where I really started getting interested in psychology as well, of not judging people for what they are doing and actually getting to know people. And it is not a lie when I say that the people that pay the most in a strip club are usually people who are looking for someone to talk to. And they would pay just to sit there and talk to them. That was it. Nothing, you know. Now there's a lot of other stuff that goes on, you know, on the side. I wasn't into all of those different parts, but it was It was an eye-opening experience. I'm so glad I did it, because I will never have my 21-year-old body back. Would never be able to do that, that now. It was just, and I love, like, now, taking pole classes and such is like, it's the trendy thing to do for suburban moms and suburban wives and such. So it's really, that's why I said, take a risk, do things, and just, yeah, have fun. But
Well, thank you. And I know Chris wanted to know, and so, all right, now we'll move on again. All right. So Jesse at JWackers asked me if Vlogmas is happening on my channel again. Yes, it is going to happen on my second channel. No, I have not started planning it yet. I do not know if I will be crazy enough to do the 24 trees of Christmas again. That was a really bad idea after having major surgery, just so you guys know. But we'll see. It's going to be fun. I love it. And that's what, that's what it's all about. And you guys know I love Christmas, and I love decorating my house, and I love showing it to people. So there will definitely be Vlogmas on my other channel. I just don't know what it's going to look like yet. All right. And then Caroline on here talks about the savings challenges, which of course, Taylah, which is what you said. And you have got all those challenges. And I do too. I have a lot, and it does definitely help. All right. More questions. I'm looking for more questions. Lots of communication.
Questions. I can't help but the irony of the fact that Erin doesn't want to put her face on YouTube, but could put her ass on a pole. Yes, I love that. I mean, see, and here's Chris Budgets. She's saying she was working and twerking. I told you. Yeah. I'm just gonna put money aside already because I'm pretty sure Chris has stated that she's gonna get her OnlyFans sorted. So
she said her husband say no, but her envelopes say yes.
It's incredible. You might have to edit those ones yourself if you want to stuff those ones.
I don't think your husband's gonna do the editing on that. It's like everything is gonna be redacted. It's just like a big black screen.
Oh my goodness. And so Jesse said to do the 24 teas again. I'm thinking about that. And we might have another advent calendar idea of some sort coming to my channel. We'll see. It might take quite a bit of work, and I don't know if we can get it done in time for Christmas, but that will be my second channel. All right. Let's see. It's not a question. Here we go. Here's one I finally found after scrolling through all of those comments. It's not a question, but what is one kind thing you say about yourself? Who wants to start? Erin has herself muted. One kind thing that I can say about myself is that I have a fabulous laugh. It's loud and obnoxious, and I love it. It shouldn't be that hard.
I would say that I am passionate. I go all in on anything. I actually got a staff member of the month nomination from my head of department, so my line manager recently, and she even called me out for the fact that I am on her case about her administrative duties because I will do anything to help her because I'm passionate about making sure that stuff gets done, going all in on stuff, which is a blessing and a curse with this topic, but it also means that I'm passionate about the people in my life as well. So, Erin, it's you. All right, Marlene, we got to put ourselves on the spot. What's one kind thing we can say about Erin while she thinks of her kind thing to say about herself?
Erin thinks of other people before she thinks of herself. She always is wondering how you're doing. She's an amazing friend. She's always checking on you, even when she is dealing with her own, life-shattering reality. She still opens herself up to others, and I absolutely love her.
I have to agree with that. You went the kind path, so I'll go her other best quality, which is the humor. She can make anyone laugh, and especially with so many negative things in the world, she can make anyone laugh about anything. And you know, I had a tough week this week, and I did message her, and I felt 100 times better afterwards because she has all of the ideas, all of the things to say. And I don't think it was just being a psychologist, it was being a good friend. But just look at this live, right? We laughed so much on this live, and most of that is because of things Erin said.
And yeah,
all because I
Jesse in the
all because I said I was a stripper.
And Jesse had the same thought you did, Taylah. It's so much easier to say nice things about other people than it is about yourself, and that's so hard, right? But all right, Erin, what you got to say?
If I'm being honest, I actually don't say a lot of kind things about myself.
We love you. We'll say lots of kind things about you for you because you have made a difference, I know, in my life, and I know you have in Taylah and so many other people's lives through YouTube. And that is one thing that I'm thankful for, that I went ahead and started my channel on YouTube because I had wanted to start one for a long time, and being a part of the two different communities that I'm kind of part of now. I mean, there's several different caveats, but the groups of people that I have met and the people that have offered help, whether it's with the budgeting or whether it's with my other channel, with prepping and homesteading and canning, because that's a passion for me as well. Gardening, you know what I mean? When I put up videos and say, what does anybody know the answer for this? People are just absolutely amazing. And Erin, you are at the top of my list. Okay. Anybody else? See, look at Crystal. Why is it so hard for us to take compliments and talk about ourselves? It's very hard. It is so hard. Taylah, since this was your idea, was there anything else that you can think of that was, you know, a topic? I think we got through everything, like I said, but I just don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to say to end this live. Of course, I want to thank everybody that joined us as well, but just any key point that we missed or anything that you want to say.
Maybe just like the take home of workout. Like, don't stress about, okay, how do I find balance? Just set your boundaries and then be guilt-free in having those boundaries. So, because I feel like that kind of encompasses everything we talked about, can be linked back to that idea of needing a boundary, setting a boundary, crossing our own boundaries, and that having consequences. So, yeah, I think guilt-free, like if this is on the agenda, then you can take sick days, or you can take I don't want to do it days. So give yourself that, right? Like, we all have annual leave from work or sick days from work. So if this is something that we do, if this is a job, which I know we want it to be a hobby, but a hobby doesn't have to be done. So yeah, I think that's the thing to move forward with, is that idea of it's good to be productive. And I think that's one of the things that this topic is so important to me because productivity is so important to me. It is part of my self-care. So I think that idea of it's okay to like it and to want to be productive, but it's also okay to be guilt-free when you're not. Yeah.
I love that. And that's just as hard as saying nice stuff about ourselves. That's right up there. Erin, what about you? Last thoughts?
Well, one, I looked up the name of the book that I had mentioned earlier, and I'll I guess I'll send it to you. I can't type it in because I can't type, but it's called Boundaries: When to Say Yes, How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life. It's by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. So for me, that was, like I said, that was a really big mindset shift book for myself when I read that. And I read it a few years ago, so I read it before, you know, like all the other different types of things and such happened. And I know that I think we're a bit lucky here. Actually, I don't even think, I know we're quite a bit lucky here in Australia, in that we are encouraged to use our time off. We get very generous leave and sick leave and cares leave and such. And so I know it can be sometimes more of a challenge in the US, because there is that if you're not here, you're not committed. If you're not working the additional hours, you're not committed. And if you're not committed, well, here's 50 people that are lined up that are willing to take your job if, in the event that, you know, that you want to do it. But it will, you know, it will take a toll on your health, whether you realize it or not. And if one of the hardest things about saying no is that if you haven't been doing it, when you start to, people will get mad at you if they're used to you always saying yes. Another really good book is Givers and Takers, Adam Grant, a friend of mine, uh, at Wharton School of Business. But if you are a giver, people will take anything you are willing to give, right? Takers rarely say no to something that is given to them. And Adam talks about this concept of matchers. And so you match the energy, you match what you are getting from another individual, because you start setting the boundaries for yourself, and you realize that when people get mad when you say no, or when you put those boundaries there, or I cannot do this, or that's outside of, that's outside of my parameters and such right now. If you get to a point to where you match, you start realizing that they're getting upset with you saying no because they're no longer benefiting from all of the free stuff that you are providing as well. So I think getting those two elements, into your mind, and feeling comfortable saying no as well. I think we're also raised to not say no as children, right? We are told what to do. I don't know if any of you ever said no to your parents. There was no way I would say no to my dad. No, I mean, I was a daddy's girl. I mean, I could bat my eyelashes and usually get anything that I wanted, but I would never tell my dad no if he told me to do something. And so retraining yourself to realize that it is actually okay to say no. It's in your best interest to say no, because you are not going to be your best you if you're always doing things for other people or for another person's agenda, and not for yourself. So I think it's about taking back, reclaiming your power, reclaiming your ownership, and using that as your strength. And people will actually respect you a heck of a lot more, because if they are used to you saying no, when you do say yes, it means that it's something that is really valuable to you, that you are giving that additional time as well.
I love that, Erin. Thank you. And of course, Erin knows, and Taylah might know a little bit, but a lot of toxicity for me being the giver, right? Always saying yes. And in a work element, being the one that always did everything, wouldn't say no to anything. Oh, Caroline, my goodness. And so I dealt with that. And then what happened when I started saying no and started backing down is then all of a sudden I was no longer a team player, right? And I was selfish. And so you've got to find that for yourself. And that's so important. And that's another toxic, element that many of us may deal with, is that work environment and that competitiveness. I know Erin talks about that a lot. You know what I mean? Being in the academic world, that there's a lot of competitiveness. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I want to give a huge shout out to Taylah Louise Budgets. If you guys aren't subbed to her, make sure you go sub. I did put her channel in several times throughout the talk. This was her concept that she wanted to talk about. It was something she was passionate about, and I am lucky that she involved me in this live. And of course, I want to give another huge shout out to my bestie Erin from Erin Budgets Aimlessly. She is such a giver as well, and she gives of herself for everybody. So make sure you guys go check out their channels if you haven't. We appreciate everybody for being here, and we will see you guys on the next live. I have no idea when it's going to be or what it's going to be about, but I'm going to go ahead and end this live with how I always end it. And
I will let you know when your next live is going to be and what your topic is going to be and who is going to be on it, because that's what I always do.
Oh, and thank you, Chris Budgets. Thank you, Carol Cash, for the super chats. I appreciate that. And
Yes.
I always end all of my videos, as you guys know, with a reminder to, what do I say, you guys?
Don't say it yet because we haven't thanked you yet. We
All right.
talked about this and put this on you and just went, yes, Marlene, you're doing this for us. You're running this. And you were so kind to just say yes, especially as a giver. You've said yes. So we need to show our appreciation to you for taking that on board and being so awesome, being the extrovert in the room. Because we all need one of those. And yeah, I just can't end it without us thanking you, because I really appreciate you taking time out of your night. You've had a long day, because before I went to bed last night, you were awake today for you. So I've had a whole 7-8 hours sleep between now and when you were probably awake. So yeah, I wanted to thank you before you get to close it out.
And I want to thank Taylah for coming up with the topic for this as well. It just started as a comment on the previous live of, oh, I want to be there with you guys next time. And I'm just like, okay, what do you want to talk about? And Marlene always, I mean, yeah, I go, I make jokes about how, I make Marlene do this, but I would never ask her to do something that I didn't know that she was comfortable doing. As well, it's just because I'm too chicken to do a live on my own channel. So that's really what it comes down to. But both of you two are just absolutely amazing and inspiring women. And I do want to say happy birthday early to Taylah, because her birthday is a little bit later on in this month. So I get that out there. And yeah. And Marlene, there's nothing I can say that I haven't told you. That's you're my lifeline. But and I appreciate everybody in the comments. Really good discussion. And Chris, budgeting, just because yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get more questions from you and hear from you a bit more as well about things. So it's just, and it's the entire community. It's I Desiree Wealth, so Desiree and Chris and Caroline with their with their contributions and just their support and their comments and everything else. I think that's really what this what a lot of this is about. And having lives like this, and bringing additional people on and bringing additional people together and providing additional exposure, different viewpoints and such like that. I think that's part of what makes this community so strong, and also helps us to all keep ourselves grounded as well. Because sometimes I think you think, is it just me? Am I the only person? And then when you find out that you're not the only person, you're not the only one thinking that, you're not the only one struggling with that, and then hearing different people's stories, you don't feel, I guess, maybe so alone. And so you bringing all of us together and allowing us an opportunity to talk about this and to have a civil conversation around it as well. I mean, we all have very differing viewpoints and very different perspectives and such, but we're able to still discuss and talk about things in a respectful way. And it's, I really appreciate you sitting in the dark there, because it's probably late there.
Turned the light on. Dark.
Well, my glasses.
I see Taylor's glasses are changing color. Yeah, but I do appreciate that you are open to bringing together different people and having those different discussions. And I cannot wait until we get to see you.
I can't wait either.
It's going to be a hoot.
All of the super chats, that's going to Australia, of course, right? We're raising those funds for Australia. So I just saw Huga come in. So hi, Huga, but we're actually signing off. And I want to thank everybody that joined us today. We appreciate you all, and we look forward to seeing you guys again very soon. And as always, remember to keep on smiling. Bye, everybody.